No one could have predicted the confrontation. Artificial intelligence has turned against humans, launching drones to challenge the best fighters. And the result of their battle is shocking. Modern drones are capable of destroying an entire continent in 30 seconds, armed to the teeth and fast as hawks. Will new technologies be able to beat the time-tested talents of pilots? I'll tell you all about it today, but first, what do you think came first, drones or fighters? I know the question seems silly, but let's put it this way. If you answer incorrectly, you owe me a subscription and a like. Okay? Well, drones were the first to appear. Before the first fighter jet was built, engineers developed a miniature model of it that was launched manually, without a pilot. So it turns out that drones appeared earlier. While you subscribe to our channel, I'll start our story. Before we plunge into the air battles, let's recall how fighters and drones have evolved. These technological marvels have come a long and difficult way from wooden models to real instruments of the apocalypse, and now they play a key role in military operations around the world. From the powerful speeds of fighter jets to the stealth and reconnaissance capabilities of drones, each of them has brought its own changes to the battlefield. Did you know that fighters such as the F-22 Raptor and F-35 Lightning II can not only attack, but also successfully defend airspace from enemy missiles? At the same time, drones such as the MQ-9 Reaper and RQ-4 Global Hawk have become indispensable in reconnaissance and surveillance of enemy territories. I've not told you about the X-47B drone yet, which can fold its wings and land on an aircraft carrier, becoming the first deck-mounted drone.
Today, as it successfully launched an unmanned aircraft from the flight deck of the USS George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier for the first time in history.
Even though drones used to lag far behind fighters in terms of their capabilities, they're now truly worthy rivals, each of which is able to compete for the championship in controlling the sky. But still, if a confrontation between a fighter jet and a drone occurs, it'll be appropriate to understand what the pros and cons are in combat situations. Fighter jets are real high-speed monsters with enormous firepower and maneuverability, which make them dangerous opponents in air battles. Their power is legendary. But why am I ranting? Just look at this. Not bad, isn't it? An excellent example of a modern fighter jet is the F-22 Raptor. If the enemy sees it in the sky, they'll rather run away than engage in combat. Why is this so? First, it's the speed, which in the latest version of the F-22 reaches 1,500 miles per hour. This is the best performance among American fighters, at least until the U.S. launches the vaunted Dark Star, a video about which is also available on the channel.
We were really building a fighter for the 21st century that could take on all of the advanced threats.
Another noteworthy fact is the maximum flight altitude. It reaches 65,600 feet above sea level, and not every airplane can fly at that altitude. Not even every air defense system reaches there with its missiles, let alone drones. Thus, the Raptor remains outside the range of the enemy in 90% of cases. The mentioned F-35 is also quite impressive. It may lose in speed, but it's clearly ahead of all modern fighters in maneuverability and striking power. It can be compared to a fly that flies back and forth. You can't really hit it. And it also attacks the enemy with hypersonic missiles.
And it has a significant amount of weapons carrying and payload capability.
What about drones? The best rivals for the fighters will probably be a pair of the MQ-9 Reaper and RQ-4 Global Hawk. The first one's a strike drone, and the only drone capable of attacking air targets. And the second one is a reconnaissance drone with radar capable of detecting not only a fighter jet, but even a mouse in the grass. But that's not all, and I have a few more secret drones in store for you, which I'll tell you about as soon as we start talking about the real battle. Speaking of which, if we're serious about the battle between fighters and drones, what do you think will win? Lightning-fast aircraft with their firepower, or cunning drones with their stealth and accuracy? Write your arguments in the comments while the fighters are flying out on a mission. Let's assume that our opponents face each other in a fair fight, without any other equipment such as air defense, radars, etc. The fighters were assigned the mission of flying to the enemy base and destroying it, while the drones were sent to intercept them. The F-22 and F-35 have a clear advantage in speed and altitude, so they'll try to get as high as possible and arrive as quickly as possible. But here's the rub. They've already been spotted in the sky by the Global Hawk, which can fly at an altitude of 12 miles. The radar of the fighter jets is too weak to detect it earlier, so it'll have time to reveal the location of the enemy. This is where the Reaper comes in. Several drones will fly to an altitude of 49,200 feet and attack with air-to-air missiles flying at 1,860 miles per hour and capable of shooting down fighters in a few seconds.
The value that the MQ-9 provides is really unmatched with modern aircraft.
This is where the maneuverability of the F-35 and its interceptor missiles come in. The first round of missiles will be easily repelled, and the drones will reveal their position, after which the F-22s will be able to attack them one by one. The drones will lose some of their partners, but a second wave of missiles will fly, which will be harder to fight off. Nevertheless, there's hope that the fighters will be able to repel the attack. But what to do then? The Reaper has 6 hanging points and accordingly 6 missiles. The best solution for the fighters is to move away from the enemy at full speed, having previously destroyed the Global Hawk, and then it will be easy for them to disperse the Reapers from a distance.
That the Air Force wanted a stealthy fighter. It was also clear that they wanted an airplane that would supercruise, in other words, run supersonically without lighting off the afterburners.
Actually, this decision will bring victory to the aircraft. But suddenly, from the thick of the clouds, an unidentified object crashes into the F-35 at a speed of 5,600 miles per hour, piercing it through, and the F-22 crashes after it. What was it? The latest U.S. drone is the Dart AE, capable of accelerating to Mach 7, but does not contain weapons. It can use the kinetic energy from the collision to tear the hull of the vehicle to pieces, sacrificing itself. Given the outcome of this battle, both sides have notable advantages and disadvantages, and both sides can win the confrontation if they use the right battle tactics. Of course, the latest Dart AE drones can indeed solve everything in a few seconds, but there are many conventions here. What if the same hyper-speedy and extremely maneuverable Dark Star joined the fighter team? It'll be able to defeat all of its unmanned colleagues simultaneously thanks to its ability to fire a dozen homing missiles, each of which selects a specific target. At the same time, drones don't even have a way to protect themselves. They cannot act as air defense, and any missile fired at them will be fatal. Similarly, fighters can suffer heavy losses, and this threatens economic failure because, for example, one Reaper costs $30 million, and the F-22 costs $146 million.
Can be very precise, very accurate. They can hit the target if you have the right information about that target.
Anyway, the results of this air combat simulation could have a significant impact on the future of military technology. If the fighters win, it will emphasize the importance of high speed and firepower. Probably, in this case, it would be appropriate to direct the forces to increase their maneuverability and armament as well as to strengthen radars and other equipment. On the other hand, if drones do win, they'll prove their superiority in the sky, and the government will have no choice but to invest in this area. It'll also prove that stealth, accuracy, and autonomous operation are still more important than speed and firepower. In short, any result can be an important step towards improving both sides, both fighters and drones. Now let's summarize the advantages and disadvantages of fighter jets and drones.
Allows so much more capability.
And the man is right, because drones allow us to reach places where fighter jets cannot even fly. They complement each other perfectly, and in the future, both technologies will play an important role in military conflicts. Fighters will continue to provide the high speed and firepower required for air combat and attacks on ground targets. At the same time, drones will be used for reconnaissance and surveillance missions, as well as for attacks on targets in conditions where the risk to pilots needs to be minimized. In addition, the Dark Star already knows how to control drones, so in the near future, we'll see not confrontation, but joint work of the latest fighters and the most advanced drones. This tandem should be a decisive step towards resolving future possible conflicts. American military drones are at the top of the technology development and boast such advanced features as stealth, long-range strike accuracy, and real-time intelligence gathering. The U.S. Army has more than 11,000 drones in its arsenal, making it the largest drone force in the world. Some models have already changed the course of the war in Ukraine after being deployed to the forefront as military aid. What makes American UAVs the best in the world, and do they have any drawbacks? You're about to find out. Not every American drone is directly used by Ukraine, but it changes the course of the war anyway. We're talking about the best and most expensive U.S. Army MQ-9 Reaper UAV.
Value that the MQ-9 provides is really unmatched with modern aircraft.
This is a reconnaissance UAV that frequently performs strategic missions. The operation of the MQ-9 Reaper is not an easy task and requires the cooperation of different people. The remote crew is responsible for flight operations, including takeoffs, landings, navigation, and mission execution. One drone requires 3 times as many crew as a traditional fighter jet, such as the Lockheed Martin F-35 Lightning II. That's why the intelligence from this device is passed on to Ukrainians by NATO partners directly. It was the most accurate reconnaissance machine available in 2022, which helped to stop the enemy and organize a prompt response.
Drones can be very precise, very accurate. They can hit the target if you have the right information about that target.
However, the MQ-9 has had a rather difficult last 2 years with a number of incidents that have undermined the reputation of the drone. The case of the loss of the Reaper over the Black Sea stands out from the rest. After repeated pursuits, a Russian Su-27 fighter jet forced the MQ-9 to go down, exacerbating the already tense relations between the two countries. Other incidents occurred in Syria and the Middle East, none of which added to the credibility of the U.S. Air Force drone. However, it continues its work and will be in service for many years to come, despite all the problems. It's difficult to overestimate the contribution this machine makes to global security, just as it's difficult to overestimate the effectiveness of the Switchblade, which is successfully used by Ukrainian special forces. The Switchblade is a smart munition produced by AeroVironment Company. According to public data, there are 2 versions of it, Switchblade 300 and Switchblade 600. What's the difference between this drone and other UAVs? First, after launch, it can change the priority of the target. The operator can choose the target or launch the kamikaze drone in free flight mode, i.e. reconnaissance. In this case, the drone flies to the target area, searches for the target, and takes appropriate actions to destroy the heavy armored vehicles of the enemy. Secondly, they can be controlled from a distance of up to 24 miles and can stay in the air for up to 40 minutes. Another version is more effective against enemy tanks, missile launchers, and artillery. It's worth noting that the world has been quite skeptical of kamikaze drones until recently. Even the United States. Israel can be considered the first to use them, but after the war in Nagorno-Karabakh, the point of view changed radically. Nowadays, hundreds of such units are participating in the liberation of Kharkiv in southern Ukraine. However, the United States is not only transferring high-tech weapons, but also simpler and cheaper ones, such as the Cyberlux K8, which is a modernized FPV drone. The website of the manufacturer has no information about this model, but they do offer the Money Shot X8 model, which the developer positions as the first FPV drone in the world for large-format cameras. It can carry a payload of up to 10 pounds and reach speeds of over 100 miles per hour. We can conclude that the drone is definitely not making a Hollywood movie in Ukraine, but there are also special effects. In addition, in case of participation of the NATO forces in Ukraine, even this magnificent aircraft designed for the Expeditionary Corps will be seen in the sky. It's the Kratos XQ-58 Valkyrie. This drone, equipped with artificial intelligence, is capable of flying autonomously and completing missions.
So think about the Vanguard programs that the Air Force has rolled out to say this represents the future.
This drone can launch smaller drones from its weapons bay. To do this, it was necessary to invent a whole innovative technology.
Some of the avionics are custom and designed by us and by some of our suppliers specifically for the Valkyrie.
We don't know more detailed specifications, but this is one of the most technologically advanced machines that have ever taken to the skies. But of course, there were also instances that slightly spoiled the attitude towards drones. One of them was a Skydio device, hundreds of which were donated to the Ukrainian army. With a maximum flight time of 35 minutes, a speed of 43 miles per hour, an additional thermal camera, and a cost of $50,000, these drones fail to perform any task. Skydio CEO Adam Bry admitted that his drones were helpless. During operation, it became clear that they were fragile and unable to overcome Russian technologies for jamming and disabling GPS. The drones were sometimes unable to take off, complete a mission, or return. American drones often did not confirm the declared distances or weight of the permissible load. However, this did not damage the reputation of the company, as it does not position itself as a weapons manufacturer. But the following interesting devices that Ukraine is waiting for will definitely surprise you. It's recently become known that the United States will provide Ukraine with Felon 1.0 attack drones equipped with a 5.56mm machine gun and Felon X drones equipped with a Spike anti-tank missile. They look like Chinese Mavics, but it would not be Americans if they did not create another death machine. The Felon 1.0 is armed with a 5.56mm machine gun and is suitable for reconnaissance missions, perimeter protection, or counterterrorism operations. The Felon X UAV is capable of firing the smallest missile in the world, the Spike. The developers claim that the drone is compact and has a fairly high payload, but they don't provide exact specifications. The Spike missile is an effective Israeli-made anti-tank weapon that competes with systems such as the FGM-148 Javelin. That is, it's an autonomous flying javelin. The effectiveness of such a weapon against a Russian tank is not difficult to imagine, but the price of a missile at $70,000 is the same as 140 conventional drones. Despite this, American drones are indispensable in the region. Compared to their counterparts from Russia and Iran, American technologies dominate and will continue to dominate. It's enough to increase the quantity. The strategic importance of these weapons is also evident of the emergence of a separate branch of the military that will only gain in importance. The dominance of these drones underscores the United States' commitment to protecting its interests and allies in the region. Still, the question remains, why are U.S. drones the best in the world, even despite some of the aforementioned setbacks? It's all about the free trade. The U.S. Army procurement process involves fair but fierce competition between manufacturers. Success means long-term contracts and jobs, so every manufacturer is trying to beat the competition. That's how the RQ-9 Reaper, X-47B, and other legendary machines were created. Thus, U.S. military drones in Ukraine are a unique tool that demonstrates unmatched accuracy, speed, and efficiency on the battlefield. Ukrainian manufacturers are not lagging behind either, with less technologically advanced, but more mass-produced drones coping with the challenges of this war. In conclusion, I'd like to remind you that we have many more videos on our channel about UAVs, aviation equipment, and other incredible military technologies. So subscribe if you're not with us yet, and enjoy your viewing. See you soon.